Good evening, good evening, good evening. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday to one and to all. Perhaps it is Sunday, depending upon where you are on the globe. Prayerfully, everyone has enjoyed their day, evening, and just enjoying this weekend. Again, give yourselves a round of applause for making it to and through another day. Honestly, I'm not home, but the weather, at least where I am, is absolutely spectacular. And I think once I get off, hey there, how are you, Gunny? I may go for a small walk. Good to see you, and thank you so much for your support. So, tonight's conversation, and I would like for it to be interactive, but it may be a little bit controversial to some. So let me go ahead and place up my disclaimers. This is the Fair Use Act, and then viewer discretion, just because the nature of the particular topic. And this is also born out of a subscriber submission. So if that particular individual would like to take the link to speak on their thoughts, they are welcome. The link is there. You do not have to cam up. I know who you are. Those that others that may want to come up. I'll put the overlay up just so I know who's coming up, because sometimes we have weirdos and Mr. and sometimes Mrs. Creepers out there. But again, this is from a subscriber that sent me some information that I was not aware of, and I think it is an important topic to speak about and just to gauge where some people are. So, again, this I believe could be controversial, and I want to say that the views and opinions on this channel are that of mine and my guests, not of Google, YouTube, nor any of its affiliates. So, without further delay, the title of this is, as you can see, Whites Only Community in Arkansas. Now, there is a small population, and when I say small, I'm being very, very specific at the time of the report. And again, I implore you to always, always, always conduct your own thorough, meticulous research. But from the latest that I have read on this, there is a population, at least at this time, of 40 people who are building cabins and schools, just basically their own community. And the caveat here is it's a PMA, basically. That's how it's being prefaced, where there's a membership, and non-whites, those that are in the alphabet community, those, I'll just say the J people, they're not included. They're not welcome in this community. Now, I always like to read comments on others who talk about certain stories, and much to my chagrin, there are many people that don't seem to have a problem with this. As a matter of fact, that there are many that have spoken that other cultures have their own. So, what's wrong with having theirs? And that is what I would like to speak about. So, let me put up the first, and there's a few that I'm going to go through. They're labeling, and when I say there, the media is labeling, and I'll just say WS, is founding a settlement, okay? Founding a settlement in Arkansas that will only allow in white Christians. Now, this is a part that hmm, I'm going to have to poo poo on a little bit because when you put in, and that again, these are just my opinions, but when you add in Christians and it only being geared towards white Christians, to me, that sounds a lot like it sounds a lot like I'm trying to choose my words correctly. Number one, to be able to relay what it is I'm trying to say, but at the same time, not to be offensive to anyone. And that is not what this channel is about. It's about open opinions as long as you're respectful. But when you put a label and you say white Christians, history has shown sometimes when you have this label, it actually turns out to be a cult. So let's look at cult really quickly. And you all can read that at your leisure. And hopefully you can see that and you can hear me pretty well. I don't speak loudly yeah, unless I'm really, really angry. And I try not to get too angry. But those are some basics about cults. And again, I want to go back to these slides. Now, there was, and this is how some people responded. Back in 1912, that there was a town, a county where Black people or African American people or colored people, I mean, we've had so many names placed upon us, thrived and flourished. However, as a result, I believe hate. It could be some other things. They were forced to leave under very, very horrible, horrible, and despicable circumstances. And according to reports, again, I implore you always to do your research. The claims were a lot of the history back in 1912 that a lot of these incidents were basically swept under the mat. And if you look at the date here, it says a civil rights march was met by a KKK panic in 1987. Again, 1987, a civil rights march was met by the KKK. It goes on to say Oprah Winfrey, brought national attention to the area that year, highlighting the county where no Black person had lived in 75 years. In 2016, author Patrick Phillips, a former county resident, published Blood at the Root, a racial cleansing in America, which chronicled the 1912 expulsion and how, despite several thousands of witnesses to just say the evil acts of three men, how no one was ever held accountable. Now, for those of you that listen to music and poetry, especially back in those times, Blood at the Root is actually a lyric from the late Billie Holiday's controversial song, Strange Fruit. Some of you may remember that, others may not. But that was one of the lyrics, and it was speaking about trees. And any of you who are familiar with the South and incidents that occur, you'll understand the correlation between trees and the root. Next, it is claimed that this group is opposed to mass immigration, multiculturalism, and I quote, forced integration. And reportedly, again, does not welcome non white, non Christian, or the alphabet community, explaining that their members are seeking to separate ourselves from a failing modern society. And, ladies and gentlemen, it says again, and return to pastoral living. When you extrapolate Christian and pastoral, but you're excluding people, almost ostracizing them. Is there righteousness behind that? Or is there something more? You've got to think about all of these things because, again, this is being done as we speak in a rural area of Arkansas. Again, right now, the population is only two. There are people that have questioned. Let me see if I can find that really quickly for you. Again, thank you for those who have tuned in and those who may catch the replay. I want to make sure that I get everything correctly. All right. So, this group, this membership, this community is called Return to the Land, RTTL. And hopefully that siren will go past very quickly. Return to the Land, which describes itself as I mentioned earlier at the top of the broadcast, a PMA for individuals with traditional views. And again, here's the great part, European ancestry. I'll repeat that. Traditional views. Again, what is traditional? And European ancestry. You catch this? Hey there, Queen Selection. Long time no see. How are you? Praying you are doing well, and thank you good evening or good morning to you. Again, blessings. So, thank you, Queen. This PMA, again, the acronym given for this PMA is private, private membership association. So you have to be careful when you word things and how you posture certain things. So this has been a private membership association. Again, at this time, 40 people. And according to reports, again, do your research, the first community was opened in Arkansas, or some people say Arkansas, in October of 2023. And this is very important. They are well, Queen Selection. Thank you. And how is yours? Again, thank you so much for asking. It opened up their first community in Arkansas 2023, and now it's considering a second state, which they claim could possibly be around Springfield, Missouri. And this is, thank you, and this is according to NBC's regional affiliate, KSNT. So, people were questioning if this indeed is legal. Well, let's look on the first. Nothing, according to the powers that be, indicate there's anything illegal, at least not at this time, about this project, if you will. And the next thing, hey there, twin, how are you? You're working. Hopefully, you're still singing. You as well, Queen Selection, and it was great seeing you again. Blessings. The next is, and I want this to soak in really, really well, and I'm going to leave this up for a moment. For those that are here, those who are peeping through the bushes, and perhaps those who will catch the replay. Again, I implore you to do your research because this, to me, could be the beginning, and it all depends on your optics and how you feel. I've heard people speak about racial or ethnic, rather, cleansing, and I, for one, again, this is just me, but that's something that I don't believe in, but there are many people that do. So what you see here is one of the founders, Eric Orwell, who says, and I quote, "You want a white nation? Build a white town." Eric Orwell says, in one video posted on social media. It can be done. We're doing it. Like I said, I'm going to leave that up for a bit to let that soak in. Again, is this promoting W supremacy? Or is it fostering, what they're posturing to be their own communities and towns? And as I mentioned before, there are other cultures that have their own communities and towns. We have Chinatown right here in Washington, D.C., where everything is Asian. Now, of course, you can frequent and patronize their establishments and things of that nature, but pretty much it's owned, ran, and monitored by certain cultures. I've seen no problems with that. I've never seen any, again, I'm speaking from my experience. I've never seen any type of violence nor hate that has spawned from Chinatown or Little Italy. But there is a large population of Hispanics in the DMV, which is, like I said before, many, many times, the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia. As a matter of fact, there's one place that I love to go to. I go there to get my pupusa fix and the cortita, which is absolutely amazing. And then their plantains are, to me, just perfect. I like different cultures. There's nothing wrong with that. This, however, this to me seems a little bit, again, I'll have to do more research, but this to me is weighing on the side of bringing back or the possibility of complete separation. And again, there are many people that they have no problem with that. Everyone has a right to feel the way that they do. The problem, the issue, the concern that I have is, again, when you mix or you try or attempt to mix Christian values and you ban, basically, you ban certain people. You ban, you don't allow certain people. I don't see the Christian or the traditional Christian values in that. And the very first sentence, again, I will quote, "You want a white nation." Well, if you look around, we are a cultural melting pot. If you look at some of the relationships and marriages and children, there's a mixture. There's a cornucopia of so many cultures. So to even conceptualize or attempt to conceptualize a white nation, again, I want people to pay close attention. What does that really mean when you pull back the layers. You want a white nation. First of all, who is you? Who are you asking this question to? Or is it rhetorical? Let's just say that it is. Then they follow up with build a white town. It can be done. We're doing that. So if that's the case, if that is the blueprint that's being set, and this continues to happen in other states, especially rural, and it is not found to be illegal, what message are you sending to others? These words, you have to pay attention to words. You have to pay attention to the context in which these words are being spoken. I go back again to my reference to cults. For those of you who aren't familiar with Waco, I would suggest you do your research. Give me one moment. Shoulder. Okay. Look what happened there. Are people possibly being brainwashed? Are we taking 50 steps backward? Again, there are many people of color, who have said, according to some of the posts that I read, they see absolutely nothing wrong with this. That there have been reports that in the future, in the past, there were all black towns in Alabama and Georgia. But as I mentioned, Forsyth, Georgia, and if there are any Georgia folks in the house, I'm sure you know your history and the reference to what happened in the past and the current climate, if you will, of Forsyth County in Georgia. Forsyth County is known or has been associated to be a sundown town. For those of you unfamiliar with sundown towns, those are towns, areas where if you are of a darker hue, your presence is not wanted and you should probably, or it would behoove you to leave that area before the sun goes down. I'm keeping this on the screen for a reason because, again, words, expressions mean a lot. And is this setting a tone? You want a white nation, strictly white, no Asian, no Hispanic, No other culture, no African American, no Native American, build a white town. I repeat, it can be done. We're doing it. Read this very carefully. The group is opposed to mass immigration, multiculturalism, and forced integration. Opposed, forced, and reportedly, and you have to be fair because this is what's reported, does not want to welcome non white, non Christian, or members of the alphabet community, explaining that its members are seeking to, and I quote, separate ourselves from a failing modern society, close quote, and return to pastoral living. So I have a question right there. The thought, the notion that the modern society is failing, is that because of other groups, according to RTTL or Return to the Land. The reference to and return to pastoral living, again, that's another reference to Christian. Again, all of these things, in my opinion, lead to the possibility of cult like ideology, which at this time, according to federal and state law, is not illegal, while others believe it could be. Let me again remind you all of just in 1987, a civil rights march was met by the KKK march. Oprah, Oprah Winfrey, brought national attention to the area that year, highlighting a county where no, and I put this in quotes as it is placed in quotes, no Black person had lived for 75 years. Then, in 2016, author Patrick Phillips, a former county resident, published Blood at the Root, a racial cleansing in America. Something of importance. This community in the Ozark Hills, to be exact, in Arkansas, is believed to have members of law enforcement and allegedly military members. So I'm going to put this back up again. "40 people, population of 40 people over 160 acres, with the possibility, allegedly, of law enforcement members and military, again, alleged. What does that look like if we want to look at future? Because as I mentioned, they're looking into Missouri. And if it's not illegal, according to the powers of be, already in Arkansas, what about all the other rural areas in the United States where 40 or 50 people can get together, again, with the same ideology that bans people, again, if you put up the caveat, let me make sure I can find that. PMA, a private membership association. So if you have private membership associations that may pop up, as I said, in other rural states, what does that mean? What could that possibly mean? Again, this is prefaced on for individuals with traditional, again, what do you mean by traditional? Views and, again, European ancestry. Hey there, Chrono. How are you? Happy Sunday. What does that mean? Traditional views and European ancestry. Keep in mind, the first community opened. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you. In October 2023. And, according to reports, considering entering a second state, likely near Springfield. These things are very, very, very important. And I want to bring this home by posting this. This group, what they're opposed to, separation and return to pastoral living. The PMA, Private Membership Association. Pay attention. Settlement in Arkansas that will only allow white Christians. If we're serving one supreme being, the Most High, they come in many colors, at least from what I've seen. The 160-acre community, as I mentioned earlier, in the Ozark Hills, named Return to the Land, or the acronym RTTL, was founded in 2023 by Eric Orwell and Peter Susherby, according to a Sky News report that aired this week. Again, pay attention to this and think, dissect the words. You want a white nation? Build a white town. It can be done. We're doing it. At this time, no finding of anything illegal. At least, as I mentioned, at this time. Your thoughts and feelings on this story. It has many people talking, many people that are in agreement, others who have fears of some of the things I just covered. Are we looking at a possible cult? Or are we looking at an ideology of cleansing? Especially when you're adamant about separation. Thank you to everyone that has tuned in and shown support, and to those who may catch the replay. Again, you can Google this, do your own research. And for those of you that have comments as it relates to this 160-acre population 40 at this time, who is a part of a PMA, private member association. That's how it's being postured. Who definitely has the plans and, in my opinion, is laying a blueprint for other rural areas. Is this racist in your opinion, or is it okay? Is it okay for people to want their own? I don't think there's anything wrong with people wanting their own. I find a problem when there are legal issues, when there's an undertone of racism, when you ban people because of their heritage, because of their culture, because of their belief systems. And the fact, and I have to put this up one more time, which could be, I am not implying or suggesting because I cannot read anyone's mind, but those words resonate so much with, I'll just say a certain slogan, a white nation. So, in order to achieve that, what must be done to achieve that? Because if you do a study of demographics, the nation is not just white,